Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for our friends on the East Coast. Roland's going to be jumping in just a little bit. He's running a few minutes behind, but I'll tell you that this is going to be probably one of the most lethal sessions that we've had yet. I mean, we've had some amazing guests, amazing trainings, amazing sessions. So not discounting anything that we've learned thus far. But what I will tell you is I've seen Roland give this presentation now maybe 5 or 6 times, and every time it just completely blows my mind. We're going to be talking about how to leverage AI, but I promise you it's going to be in a fashion and ending with a result that you just haven't seen yet. So make sure you don't go anywhere. Make sure you're ready to take a lot of notes and be prepared to have your mind straight blown. I don't want to get too far into the weeds and take away the excitement and the anticipation of what Roland's going to share with us. But a few thoughts I have for you is first, I'm curious, is anybody in here using AI right now? If you are, go ahead and I can either bring you on camera, JC is, let me know. I can either bring you on or you can type in the Q&A. What are you guys using AI for? Let's see what we can see is the most creative use and what the results are that you're getting from it. While you're doing that, looks like only 1 or 2 people are using it. My promise to you is after this presentation, you're just going to, your mind is going to be expanded as to the possibilities that AI brings. And what I'll share with you is as a serial entrepreneur and someone that runs a lot of businesses and frankly always has a ton to do, something that's always been part of my thought process is as soon as something ends up on my to-do list, the first thing I ask myself is, how can I not do this myself? And prior to the involvement of AI, the only option I had was to delegate and to outsource. And that would take team members' time, it would cost money, and oftentimes, not always, but the end result still needed love. It still needed more work. And what Roland's going to share with us today is a great way to take a lot of the tasks and the wish you coulds and leverage AI to get them done. So for me, these strategies, and if we have time at the end, I'm going to show you what Roland and I have been working on for myself and my companies. But I want you to come into this session really thinking about, these are big thoughts. You can achieve a lot of awesome results. How can we take them and apply them to your business? Because what I know is for sure is there's a lot of us that have things we need to get done, but hate the process of doing them, or frankly are just not good at doing them. And AI is the easiest way to merge that gap. Something I've said for years is that there's always people that love to do the things that we hate to do. And they're better at the things that we're not good at doing. So I've said for 10 years now, leverage other people to get the stuff done that you don't want to get done. And we've seen that come to life with stuff like having ISAs to do your calls and your lead conversions. We've seen a lot of tools and resources start to emerge in our industry But what I know you're going to see today is just something that people in our industry more than likely have not really opened up their mind to the ideas and the possibilities of how we can leverage AI to increase our credibility, increase our influence, and help us leverage it to ultimately generate and convert more clients. You know, something I always say, and Roland will be jumping on here in a minute, so don't go anywhere. I promise you this is going to be an awesome session. Something I always say is, you know, you look at the people that are on these reality home selling shows like $1 Million Listing or Selling Sunset or whatever it may be. And the advantage that they have is they have the credibility, because we've seen them on TV that people are just calling them and saying, hey, come list my home. People are just calling them and they're not negotiating with them as much because they know that they're one of the best in the luxury space. So I want you to think about this for a moment, and then I'm going to go to the comments here before Roland jumps on. What part of the market would you love to own and love to have instant credibility in, so much to the point that you are a known thought leader in that space? Do you want to own the luxury space? Do you want to own, you know, the first-time buyer space, the downsizing? Do you want to own working divorces, probates? Like what categories do you want to own? And then just imagine after this presentation how the things that Roland is going to teach us, we can leverage to instantly become a noteworthy, important person in that space. The possibilities are endless, and I'm just so excited for him to jump on here in a few moments. JC said that he's using AI for creating content for social media and lessening the work so that it's easier to focus on other things in real estate. Absolutely. You know, there's so many ways that AI can be leveraged for just creating content. Something else that I'll just give you a quick teaser on that we're going to be releasing it this week in Orlando, and then we're going to bring it out to everybody, is something called Referral Suite, which we might have talked about a little bit before. But imagine for a moment that you had an editorial calendar that every single day tells you what to post. It gives you the scripts. It gives you the technology that right there inside of the platform, you can shoot your videos, just as I am right now with you today. It has direct mail campaigns so that you can literally upload your list and through the platform, just start mailing them. You take something like that and combine it with AI and combine it with the strategies that Roland's going to share with us today. I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely lethal. Who else in here is using AI, and what are you using it for? Let me know. Just buying us time until Roland comes on. I promise you, you do not want to leave. This is going to be an insane session. I'll tell you some of the things that we use it for is obviously like all of our socials, just creating posts, writing scripts, et cetera, et cetera. I'm even using AI now to make graphics. And just to help you understand how this is evolving commerce in general, my wife started an Etsy store where she makes custom shirts and cups and just stuff that you're used to seeing on Etsy. And Roland's son showed me a way to leverage AI so that as soon as the order comes in, someone wants something customized, AI takes the request, in the background starts working on making a bunch of design options, then sends the design options to the buyer. The buyer picks which one they like, can request edits, AI takes it to the finish line and straight sends it to the printer. sends it to the fulfillment house, and ships the order. He's taken something that's completely been, very reactive and requires the human touch and requires a level of skill, and completely automated it leveraging AI. So Elena says, I use it to create posts on Instagram. I love that. I do the same thing. We have, my son and I have a card business, and it's easy to just post a card and say, awesome LeBron James card. But now I use ChatGPT. I say, make an Instagram post for this LeBron James card, et cetera, and it creates way better posts than I ever can myself. And we have to ask ourselves, if we're taking the time to make the posts, if we're taking the time to do what we're supposed to do online with social media, are we leaving engagement on the table by not having full, well-written content and posts? And with AI, it just makes that so much easier for you. You can use AI to make your graphics. You can use AI to do a ton of things. And what I'm really excited about is, as soon as Roland jumps on, the strategies that he's using, which literally will, I've seen, like I said, now 5 or 6 times. And every time I see it, my jaw is on the floor, every time. To the point where now I'm just like, holy crap, I got to do this. I got to do this. And now, if we have time, I'll show you what I've used and how I'm going to leverage it. Anybody else using AI right now? Roland should be jumping on any minute. Sorry about the delay. He just had a call that was running late, and he's doing us a big favor jumping on. By the way, does anybody in here know Roland? Have you guys heard me talk about him? Just to color this in, Roland is hands down one of the most successful people I know. He is a partner in our company, Big Block Realty. I'm partners with him on several other businesses. He owns about 100 plus different businesses. He sold a ton of businesses. He's taken some businesses public. He speaks all over the world on huge stages like Tony Robbins. And he also runs his own events. Some of you may have heard of Traffic and Conversion Summit, which has happened in San Diego for the past 10 years. Now it's moving to Las Vegas. He gets about 8,000 to 10,000 people to come to his event, Traffic and Conversion Summit, and recently sold a big chunk of that to Blackstone. So this guy, when we talk about being smart and leveraging tools, he's hands down one of the best at getting ahead of new technologies and strategies and executing them before the rest of the world jumps on. And he's just made a tremendously successful life for himself. So he should be jumping on any minute. Anybody have any questions on any of this? I'm sorry for buying the time here, but I promise you do not want to go anywhere. This session is going to be worth the wait, and he's just a few moments away. Does anybody have questions on AI so we can help color that in before he jumps on? No? Everyone's got it all figured out? What AI do you recommend? Oh, so Carlos asked what AI I recommend. Until recently, I only used 2 of them. Now in Roland's presentation, he's going to show you about, 15 different amazing tools. I personally use ChatGPT that also has a Google extension. I'm blanking on the name for the Google extension. So it just literally adds onto your Google search. And I also use Jasper. Jasper is a great tool. We use it for writing our emails, our content, etc. And the nice thing is also, like with for instance, ChatGPT, a lot of people just default to thinking that it can create stuff for you, but it also can serve as an actual intelligent resource and what's the word I'm looking for? Data research for you. So if I have a question about an industry I'm trying to jump into, or if I get a question from one of my clients that I don't know how to answer, I can go into ChatGPT and I can literally say, okay, you are an intelligent real estate agent that focuses in this market. You have a client that is analytical and asked you, the 3 most important steps towards ABC. How would you respond intelligently to make them feel comfortable and confident? And ChatGPT will literally take all that data and it'll say, okay, I'm talking to an analytical. So I'm going to make sure that my answers are facts and figure driven. It does the research for you, so much to the point now where using Google just feels like, just kind of feels old. It feels like, man, I have to do more work. Where with ChatGPT and the different AI, it does the research for you. So hopefully that helps, Carlos. And I promise you, as soon as Roland jumps on here in a moment, he told me at most he'll be about 15 minutes late, so he should be here any moment. He has just crazy tools. How many of us would like to be able to leverage, or let me say it another way, reach a broader audience by creating content without us having to be on camera creating it? Right now, there's tools out there that will literally take your voice and mirror your voice and create content and videos for you where your lips actually move and it moves your body and all these things and creates content without you ever having to get on camera. And it's really insane. So Ahmed says, sorry, what ChatGPT do you use? I use the desktop version, and I also use the phone version, which is called Ask AI. I use the phone version on my iPad. It's called Ask AI. What are the first 2 things realtors should use ChatGPT for, and on what platform? I would say that prior to the presentation you were seeing today, you're going to see as soon as Roland jumps on, I would leverage it. An easy must-have is, I already know that most agents don't have a well-developed follow-up campaign for their past clients and their database. You can have ChatGPT literally make you your entire follow-up campaign. And then you can just put that into a service like MailChimp or any sort of email service, and it will just write you email after email after email that now you can put into having your follow-up sequence built. So I would for sure use it for that. I would also use it for, I forget who said it earlier, JC. Like JC said, I would use it for making my video scripts. I would use it for making my social posts. I would use it ultimately to save me time on the activities that normally take me, more time, and I'm probably not that good at doing. So it's really powerful. Follow-up campaigns, yeah. So Elena, what I'm talking about is all of us should have our database, right? Our sphere of influence, past clients, etc. We should be sending them at least 2 or 3, in my opinion, at least 2 or 3 emails a month. The challenge is most people just write these generic, boring, unengaging emails and send them links to search homes. That's great. But with ChatGPT, I can go into ChatGPT and I can write, what are the 30 most frequently asked questions for homeowners and prospective homeowners? It'll give me the 60 answers. Then I can take each one of those answers and say, please write an email as an intelligent realtor addressing said question. And then I have now 60 emails that ChatGPT wrote for me that I can then upload into a service like MailChimp or Follow Up Boss or whatever you're using to do your email campaigns. So that's how I would use it. Hopefully that helps. Chat, I'm so sorry that he's not on yet. I promise you, don't go anywhere. It's going to be worth the wait. I'm just texting him right now. It's gonna be an awesome session. I hope that helps, Elena. Anybody else have any questions on any of this while we're waiting for Roland to jump on? Nope. Okay. Another thing also for the, just thought that you can use like Jasper or ChatGPT or any AI for is writing your listing descriptions. So I did some case studies on it where I said, write a listing description for a 3-bed, 2-bath house in Chula Vista that was recently remodeled and has a fireplace and a pool. And it spit out this listing description it was like a song. It was so good, so powerful. So tons of awesome use cases. And, I would just ask yourself, anytime something ends up on your to-do list, the first question you start to ask yourself is, how can I leverage AI to do it? And here's Roland. Let's promote him to panelist. Roland, you should get an invite to panelist, and then I'm going to make you host as soon as you do that. And then we are going to just jump straight in. Let's make Roland host. Roland, you are host now. You should be able to. There he is.
Hey, what's happening?
Not much. I was just kind of filling them in on the powers of AI. I didn't talk on purpose about anything that you're going to share with them because you're just going to do a way better job. But certain people they were asking what tools to use. And here's the exciting part and why I'm so excited to have you on. Most people right now are just using it to make social posts. Yep. And the opportunities, as you know, and you've taught me, are endless. So I will go ahead and let you take over from here. I already did your intro. Everyone knows that you're a friend, business partner, mentor, and one of the smartest, offensively smartest people I've met. So thank you for jumping on.
Well, I can't ask for a better intro than that. If I start by offending, then that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Well, thanks for having me, and I'm assuming that we can chat. So I'll take a look at that. Let me put that.
Yeah. So I'll manage the Q&A. And I'll just ask questions. Also, there's watch parties happening. They'll text me. I'll ask you questions along the way. I'll turn my camera off, but I will be in the background managing questions, and then you can share your screen whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'll just generally say I've got Sam and I do a whole bunch of stuff together. And so I have done a lot of stuff with AI. I've created back in November when ChatGPT was released. Immediately after that, I created a course about AI, using only AI. I had AI write all the video scripts. We've sold about 1.5 million of that course. And that to me was very amusing, like to be able to in minutes generate something that can create 7 figures plus of income is kind of cool. And then along the way, we were like, how can we use this to run our business? How can we use it to create video scripts and all that sort of thing? And so, so I have multiple presentations, and unfortunately, Sam and I were a little off on me showing up today. I didn't have this in my calendar, which I'm sure is my fault. But I'm going to just kind of pick some things to share with you guys, and then you can kind of tell me if it's something that is of interest to you. And I can even go into my ChatGPT history and show you some of the things that we're doing. Because like we create entire podcasts where my co-host and I are discussing something. And so now we're creating AI podcasts around different subject matter. So like you think about if you wanted to have a podcast about the area that you're in, that you know, if you farm an area or something like that, for example, you could have a podcast where you're interviewing people who are local, or you could have a podcast where you and a co-host are talking about different things in the area that might be of interest to people, and things that would be interesting to, you know, from a real estate and moving standpoint, but also just community general, and that you can build this audience without ever having to be there, without ever having to do a podcast. Because I can tell you, I'm almost 500 episodes into one of our podcasts that I started a long time ago, and it's a lot of work doing a podcast. So I think I'll start with that, and let me find.
Yeah, Roland, if we did the podcast one and the book one, I think if we can get through those, people's brains will be exploded.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll do that. So basically, this is kind of how we went about creating a complete AI podcast interview. So I've seen a couple of shows. If you guys follow a marketing guru named Seth Godin, Seth did a podcast that was basically just his voice synthesized by a voice synthesizer AI that is a voice cloner. And so I'm going to show you, I thought it would be really cool if on one of our podcasts, if my co-host and I could have a discussion about AI from different perspectives, and it wasn't something that we participated in at all, meaning that we never did the research, we never had the discussion, we never recorded, it just showed up. And the fun thing about it is that my co-host, I didn't tell him that I was doing this. And so the first time that he heard this was when I announced that on stage that he and I had done a podcast that he had not shown up for. And he was like, what the heck? And then we played it, and it's kind of cool. So I'm going to just share with you guys how we did that. So the tools that we used ChatGPT for the scripting, and I'm going to share with you the prompts. And then we used 11 Labs for the voice clones. And I'll tell you that when I play for you a couple of excerpts from the podcast, you'll see that 11 Labs, it does a pretty good job, but it's not, and I'm also going to get my, I think there's an audio setting to share the audio from here. But it's not as perfect as I would like for it to be. It gets better. And Sam, do you know, I remember when I tried to do this before, there was something that I had to click to be able to share audio from my computer into the crowd here.
Maybe, let me see here. Why don't you, if you go to, I think, audio, so if you go to the video arrow up, and then you go to audio section, I think,
it may be because I've done it before that it'll let me do it. If not, if I get to it, I'm just going to go, and then when we get to that part, if for some reason we can't hear it, I'll try to turn it up, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah. All right.
So and then maybe somebody who knows more about this than you or I can basically figure out where I should go. but basically, so we use ChatGPT and 11 Labs. So I primed ChatGPT 4 by asking if it knew my co-host and me, if it knew our tone and style, and ask also if it knew about our podcast. Because if you've already put anything out there in the world on social media or books or a lot of anything really content wise out into the world, there's a decent chance that ChatGPT already knows who you are. So I like to start out and see if it knows us, because if it does, then I can have it right in our style. But if it doesn't, then we can just feed it content. Like I could feed it an article, I could feed it a transcript from a video, and it would have an idea what the style was. Or I could say, do this in the style of Joe Rogan, or do this in the style of Sam Khorramian, or whatever. So if it doesn't know who you are, you can use your own voice by uploading some content to it, or you can just ask it to do it in the style of somebody else. So we asked, do you know Roland Frasier and the style of speech he uses? And by the way, I had one of my assistants do this. So I didn't do this myself because it would have kind of ruined the idea of not having to do it yourself. So I said, do you know Roland Frasier and the style of speech he uses? Do you know Ryan Deiss and the style of speech he uses? So you can see it says, as of my last training data cutoff, Roland Frasier and Ryan Deiss are well-known digital marketing entrepreneurs. They're involved in Digital Marketer, a leading platform for digital marketing education. Deiss is the co-founder. Frasier is a principal partner. And then so on and so forth. Then it says Ryan Deiss is known for his accessible, straightforward communication style. He explains complex marketing concepts in a way that's easy for the average person to understand. He often uses stories, analogies, and case studies to illustrate his points. His speeches are generally, though not always, I tell him, informative, engaging, and practical. So it already knows who he is. So that's cool, because then when I ask it to write in his voice, then it's not going to have a hard time doing that. And same thing, it says, on the other hand, Roland Frasier is known for strategic and so on and so forth, right? Talks about me. And then we asked if it knew the podcast, and it also was familiar with the podcast. So that just kind of helped set the style tone. So then the prompt that I used is, it's always good to give ChatGPT a role so that it has context. So I said, you're a podcast program creator and writer. And then what does it do in that role? You create questions for podcast hosts to ask their guests. Please create 10 interesting, attention-getting, important questions about AI, also known as artificial intelligence, for the podcast hosts to discuss. The 10 questions, and this is important for having an interview, the 10 questions you create for the host to discuss should be capable of being discussed from each of at least two different perspectives. And they should be intriguing, practically applicable, potentially polarizing, because that makes things more interesting, and timely. The questions should cover the hottest current topics in AI, including those around the dangers of AI use, of AI for marketing and digital marketing, sales, business operations, finance, and other topics of interest to marketers, salespeople, entrepreneurs, and business owners. So I'm asking it to come up with the questions that we're going to be debating on the show. And I want each of those questions to be able to be debated from two different sides. So that's really what that prompt is about. And then it gave me several questions. So it gave me several. I asked it to give me 10 more. I'll always ask, by the way, I find that the coolest things don't come in the first set of results that I get. If I ask for 10 more or 20 more or 50 more or 10 more 5 times, and then I have a lot of potential things to choose among, I find that really gives me the most creative stuff. Maybe it's like the AI works like us. It gives the obvious answers first, but then if you have it dig a little deeper, it can come up with some really, really creative and interesting stuff. So you can see some of the questions. In what way is AI reshaping the landscape of digital marketing? Are there any inherent risks or ethical considerations marketers should be aware of? And then it gives me the two perspectives, from the angle of efficiency and personalized experience versus privacy and consent, and so on and so forth. So I think I ended up picking about 8 of these questions for it to create a script around. And then I need it to create the dialogue between the two co-hosts, right? So I said, create a simulated fictional dialogue for the podcast business lunch that's a spirited discussion between Roland and Ryan, who it already knows because I had asked before, right? Where Roland asks the question provided and Ryan gives his detailed answer, taking one possible side or position and argues for it by listing reasoning, pros, and benefits of that position. Roland takes the opposite position, et cetera, right? So then it comes up with this script. And the script had to be edited a little bit because ChatGPT's idea of humor is not very good. It's you can see it starts out with me saying, Ryan, we're seeing AI influencing every corner of our lives, especially in the world of digital marketing. How is AI shaking things up? And then it says, my technologically savvy friend. Obviously, we killed that. So, so a small amount of editing by my assistant to the script here. But other than that, it gave a back and forth, the dialogue that I asked for, right, around this topic, and continue to feed it questions, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, we then used 11 Labs to clone my voice and my co-host's voice. Now, what's cool is 11 Labs requires you to read in a consent where you say, hey, this is Roland Frasier and I consent to have, et cetera, et cetera. what's funny is that I didn't have access to Ryan and I didn't want him to know what I was doing. So we used Descript, which is a program that you can record into or upload videos to, and it instantly transcribes the entire video. You can edit the words that are in the transcription, and then it will change all those words in the video. It's pretty crazy, right? So it'll, like, if you want to delete something, it will also clone your voice from the video so that you can then change words in the video. So if I say, and so I was talking to Sam the other day, but I meant to say I was talking to Oliver or Corey, then I can change it. Basically, they just type me saying that, and then my voice says that. It's pretty great. So we used that to find the words that we had to have to get Ryan's consent, which was kind of fun because I knew he would consent anyway. And then that created his consent, and we cloned his voice and my voice. So we asked then ChatGPT to separate Ryan's and Roland's comments. So the script is Ryan, Roland, Ryan, Roland, Ryan, Roland. But to clone the voice cloning it isn't yet able to provide like 2 different voices. So you have to kind of synthesize the voice out of all the script that one person says separately from all the stuff the other person says, and then edit it together. So basically we asked ChatGPT to do that, said separate Ryan's and Roland's comments into a group of all of Ryan's comments and all of Roland's comments. And then we used 11 Lab cloning our voices to upload recordings of our voices by uploading recordings of our voices from other media we created. It's not much that you have to upload. It's, like 10 minutes of you talking is kind of good enough to get the basic level, which is what we did here. You can do a voice clone, which is much more in depth, and it's not any more money currently to have 11 Labs do that. The voice clone will sound pretty much exactly like you. The one that I did here was kind of before they offered that service quick enough for us to get it. So we used 11 Labs then to create audio of Ryan saying all the Ryan stuff and Roland saying all of the Roland stuff, speaking our respective parts. And then we used Descript and Adobe Premiere to edit them together so that it's us going back and forth. And what's cool about that is, and tell me, Sam, if you can hear this. I'm going to hit play. If you can't, then we have to find that magic button that allows us to
provide personalized.
Yes.
Today, we're going to explore some of the hottest and most controversial topics around everyone's favorite new and evolving technology, artificial intelligence, or AI.
Exactly. And so let's jump right in and get started with something that is on everyone's mind, and that is how AI affects digital marketing. Ryan, as the founder and CEO of one of the largest and most well-known digital marketing companies at digitalmarketer.com, you're in a great position to share some perspective on this. So Ryan, we're seeing AI influencing every corner of our lives, especially in the world of digital marketing. How exactly is AI shaking things up in that world right now? And what should we be thinking about and looking out for as AI applies to digital marketing?
Well, Roland, it's simple. AI is like an intuitive clairvoyant who predicts your next move before you make it.
So this is,
hey everybody, I'm Roland.
So that was all generated without us participating at all. We uploaded it to our Business Lunch podcast, which is a podcast that we have had hundreds of episodes of. And the numbers, which I was trying to get him to send me the numbers so I could do a slide, and I just checked and I still don't have it yet. But the numbers on downloads, no difference, right? So it's kind of cool. And we revealed at the end of the podcast that we created it without either of us participating. But like, think about how you could use this to create dozens of podcasts. You could get granular into territories that you farm. You could do this to basically create all kinds of value adds for people moving into the area, into a city, into a neighborhood, etc. You could have your assistant research all of the cool things that there are to do, the cool restaurants, how to relocate, advice around things. You could have this podcast that's got all these really cool episodes that are out there. And it also elevates you as an authority in your field. So we're doing this in business formations and consulting and real estate and HVAC and all kinds of areas. And we don't have to do it. So like, you can clone yourself and get scale that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to get, and get a positioning as an expert that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to get without having to devote a ton of time researching, scheduling interviews, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. You could even potentially have your assistant interview somebody and then replace your assistant's voice with your voice so that you're doing the interviews with the local chamber of commerce person, or, you know, a restaurant or a moving company or whatever. So you would then be able to put your voice asking the questions that ChatGPT created for your assistant to ask the person that was being interviewed. Then your editor just goes in to Descript and very quickly changes your voice for your assistant's voice, and you are a podcast star without having to devote any time to it. It's pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So the next thing I wanted to share with you is along this same thing, like in terms of creating authority, how can I do this fast? So you guys can see me in a little box now, but basically this book called From Wrenches to Riches was created entirely by AI. So this is a book that I can order from Amazon. I can hold it in my hand. It's also available on Kindle, and it's also available as an audiobook. So how did we create it? Well, again, we used ChatGPT for creating the content, and then we used Midjourney to create the graphics. So you can see right now, and if you want, you can go onto Amazon and you can search for Wrenches to Riches. Wrenches to Riches, the ultimate guide to building a thriving HVAC business. And I didn't write this. I didn't want to put my name on it because I write other books, and I have several books that are in the process of coming out that I want under my name for my author brand. But I did it under my company name, Epic Network. And so what's cool about that is you could do it under ABC Realty. You could do it under Big Block Realty. You could do it under your name or some other company. You know, it could be Neighborhood Explorations or something like that. So what I like about that is that you could then have separate categories of authorship across Amazon for different books, right? Now, I like it being available on Amazon, not necessarily because I want to sell a lot of books on Amazon. You can see it's a bestseller, right? But I've got 5-star reviews, right? But I don't really want to do this to make money from selling books, although you definitely could. I want to do this so that I have a physical book that I can send to people who are in the HVAC business, which is what this book is targeted for, because I am buying HVAC businesses. Sam and I actually own part of a fund that acquires HVAC businesses. So if I can send this book to anybody whose business I want to buy and say, hey, put a lift letter in with the book and send it to them. And then I just say, hey, Mike, saw that you have an HVAC business. We're in the process of acquiring some. Wanted to share with you a book that I wrote that could help probably for you to build your business and have more success in it. And also wanted to see if you might be interested in having a chat to see about the possibility of us acquiring your business. Now I can send that out, and what kind of authority does that give me? And then if Mike goes and Googles or goes to Amazon and looks, he'll see that the book has 5-star reviews. It's a bestseller. It's on Amazon. It's available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. And I took this screenshot before the audiobook was live. The audiobook is live now also. So like for this to be something that you could give a book that has your name on it to all of your prospective customers, that you could mail out to the people in a neighborhood on a carrier route mailing or a farmed area or zip code mailing to say, you know, how to sell your house for the most money. And it's you basically looking for listings and offering this gift, which creates reciprocity under the rules of Robert Cialdini for influence, right? To have the authority and the reciprocity in the author that's sending this out to ask for listings, I think it's super, super powerful. And same thing, if you're a buyer's broker, if you're representing a buyer, then for you to say, you know, hey, I'm going to take care of you, but what I want you to know is that there's a whole bunch of cool things that you can find out about, or that would be helpful as you go into buying your next house. And so I wrote the book on it. I literally wrote the book on it, and I just am going to give you a copy of it as my gift. so that you have that to help you along the way. I mean, when you talk about standing out and differentiating yourself from the competition, to me, that is a very, very powerful way to do that. So the way that you write this in about an hour is that you conduct a little bit of market research. You could skip this step, by the way, if you like. I like it because I like to know a little bit of depth about my market. There's a Chrome extension. It's paid, I want to say it's like $20. It's called KD Spy. And so KD Spy allows you to see the levels of sales on Amazon of books. So for the keyword HVAC book, you can see that's my keyword there. It's pretty low because it's very niche, but the average sales rank is over 1 million. So that means there's 1 million books in front of these. But what's cool about it is that it'll show you the price, $887, $999, estimated monthly sales, 34 sales a month, 49 sales a month. And those are the two biggest ones. Another one, 27 sales a month. And then you can see it's HVAC Bible for Beginners, HVAC for Beginners. Those are two top ones. And then Ultimate Guide to Plumbing updated. Those are selling, I guess, what, 40, 70, 83, 93, 103, 110 copies a month. They've got lots of reviews, hundreds of reviews, and their sales rank is relatively low. Well, that can give me some ideas about potential keywords and things like that, like HVAC for Beginners, HVAC Bible. That's more do it yourself. And I'm looking more for something that would be helpful to an HVAC owner because I'm trying to buy HVAC companies, right? So the first thing we want to do is find the idea, right? So I put in brackets for you here. You'll see that there are brackets around some of the terms, so you can fill your terms in there. But my prompt for ChatGPT was, first, I assign it a role. You're a research expert focused on business marketing and strategy for home service industry professionals who are your clients, with an emphasis on identifying the biggest areas of opportunity for growth and scale for your clients. You provide your clients with up-to-date lists of areas of opportunity and specific actionable steps they can take and implement to improve their business using technology, AI, marketing, sales, and related strategies. Your first task is to provide a list of the biggest problems, issues, and challenges facing HVAC businesses right now. So you would change this potentially to, let's say that you are that you're just focused on residential real estate. So you could say you're a research expert focused on residential real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, et cetera, and you would also generate a bunch of ideas. What I want to do here is I want to know what are the things that are going to be pain points that will be interesting for the people who I'm going to give the book to. So I put that prompt in and it gives me a list of all the problems. And then I say, give me 10 more. Because like I said, it gets creative if you keep asking. So I'll pick several of these or to ask it more about, or I can save myself a ton of time and say, let me just, because it's iterative, meaning that it remembers everything ChatGPT does that we asked before. So now I can say, okay, what's my title? Well, considering the 20 answers that you provided above, which were all the challenges and problems and issues, create 20 practical, engaging, catchy titles for a book targeted at capturing the attention of HVAC professionals. This list should include only titles that, taking into consideration best-selling book titles for other nonfiction education books, because I want it to be catchy, right? So I know that bestsellers typically are bestsellers, not just because of the content, but primarily because of the title. So if I let it take its database of all the titles of other best-selling nonfiction books into consideration when creating a title for my book, it's going to create a pretty good title, okay? So I say that would have the best chance of causing HVAC professionals to want to purchase and read the book and recommend it to their friends and other professionals in the home service business. Please write in a friendly tone, conversational writing style. So then it gives me all these titles. And so you can see down at the bottom in the results, Mastering the HVAC Craft, Navigating the Challenges for Business Growth and Success, the HV Technician's Playbook, Thriving in a Competitive Industry. Well, the one that I liked the most was From Wrenches to Riches. And it was From Wrenches to Riches, the ultimate guide to building a thriving HVAC business. That's the subtitle right down here. Okay. So then I'm going to have it create a table of contents. So we say, create a table of contents for a book entitled, and then put the title of all the titles it came up with that you like the best. So I inserted the one that I like the best. Create a table of contents for a book entitled From Wrenches to Riches, the ultimate guide to building a thriving HVAC business. Please write in a friendly conversational writing style. And it gives me this table of contents. So that's really, really cool. And then I can go on and say, write me an intro, because every book should have an introduction, right? So I say, write a 1,000+ word introduction for the above book. Wherever possible, use stories, anecdotes, examples, and statistics to make the book practical, authoritative, engaging, and rich with applicable, actionable advice, strategies, and recommendations. Please write in a friendly conversational writing style, which I don't really have to keep saying, but I did. So now, how did I decide on the 1,000 words? So that's a really good question. It's going to give me exactly what I asked for. It's going to give me a 1,000-word-ish intro. And then I'm going to go on and create the body. But what I want to talk a little bit about is book length. So remember, first, you can use the continue prompt as many times as you like to add additional depth or volume to your book. So you can always just say continue, and it will write more about whatever it's been writing about. But I like the idea of constraining it to exactly the length that will be most likely to be read or valued or consumed by the people who I'm sending the book to. And so ideally, the best-selling nonfiction books are typically under 150 pages. And for these kinds of books to be valuable, they need to be at least about 85 and generally no more than 120. So ideally, you want to create something between 85 and 150. This book happens to be 120. You can see how thick it is. It's a really great size. It's not scary. And so it's not something that's like this giant tome that they're going to go, oh, I'm not going to read that someday, I guess. And it's not so flimsy that they're like, oh, it can't be worth anything. So it's got the thud factor, but it doesn't have the, the overwhelm factor. So here's how we calculate the words per chapter to put in where I said, write 1,000 words, right? So calculate the words per chapter. You start with how many pages you want, and you multiply that by the average number of words on a page in a best-selling nonfiction book, which is 230 words. So the total pages that you want to have times the 230 number is going to give you the total number of words that you need. And then you're going to divide the total number of words you need by the number of chapters that came back in the table of contents that ChatGPT created for you. And that's going to give you roughly how many words per chapter you need. So let's look at that in action. So let's say I want 120 pages, which I did for this book. I multiply 120 by 230 average words per page. That means my whole book's going to need to have about 27,600 words. I'm then going to divide the total words needed by the 16 chapters that ChatGPT came back with for me. That's going to tell me I need 1,725 words per chapter. So when I get back into here where my prompt is write a X plus word chapter, here I'm saying write 1,000+ words. But if I wanted it to be 120, this would be with 16 chapters, this would be write a 1,725 word chapter 1, right? And then you're just going to go through, after you've created your introduction, you're basically just going to go through each of the chapters, the titles of the chapters that ChatGPT gave you in the table of contents. Then you're going to put each of those in and say, write a chapter for the above book, write a chapter 1 for the above book. And then it's going to be, you don't have to, by the way, say each of the titles, because ChatGPT will remember that the chapter 1 was whatever chapter 1 was in the table of contents result. So you can save yourself time by doing it in the same session, right? Or in the same chat. But if you don't, you can also just go back and you can cut, copy, and paste the names of each of the chapters that came back in the table of contents. So I can do it this way. I could also say, for each chapter in the table of contents above, write a 1,700 word or 1,000 word or whatever chapter, wherever possible, use stories, etc., and then get the whole thing. I'd have to continue several times to get the output. And there are other things like Agent GPT that will automate these processes for you, but that's basically it. And when you do that, it's going to come out with this beautiful book that is the length that you need it to be. Now, at this point, you'll have a book and you'll have content that is pretty good, but we generally want to customize it. So we'll use 3 tools to help us kind of de-AIify this. And those 3 tools are Quillbot, which is free, and it rewrites and paraphrases your content. So it'll give you kind of a different spin than what ChatGPT did, but with the same outcome. Grammarly is a paid solution that basically does the same thing. Sometimes we run it through both. Sometimes we run it through one or the other. These are kind of interchangeable in my opinion. And then last but not least, we'll run it through originality.ai, which is a paid solution, and it checks for AI use in writing. So, so these are really cool. And then when you're done, you can create a resources and updates page. Now, this is cool because this is where you're going to have your call to action. You want to have a call to action in your book. And so you could put at the end of every chapter that, you know, be sure if you're interested in buying a house right now or listing your house, then call, you know, Marianne Mobley at blah, blah, blah. You could put your information there or and your website or a QR code or all three. But at least at the end of the book, say, you know, here's our resources and updates page so that you create an online page that people can go to get more information or to get updated information. What's cool about that is you can see it says like mine is want to claim all the resources discussed in the book, head on over here and grab them before you dig in, right? The thing that you want to do, and you can use Squarespace or WordPress or whatever you want, like a free site that's easy to do this, but it just has resources. So you could put like the latest links of the companies you work with. It could be for the companies that turn on the power, the companies that provide cable. It could be moving companies, and you could be affiliates for all those, or you could use Suite Assist and send them to the people that are in your you know, in your resource center there. But this is the page where they can get any updates, resources, and any offers that you want to make. Now, when they come to your page, if you're a good digital marketer, you can pixel them, meaning that there's a pixel that gets planted that allows you to run retargeting ads to only the people who came to visit your page. So you can do follow-up campaigns to get them to list or buy by having them simply landed on your page. And this will allow you also to build a list of your book buyers and create lookalike audiences for other people that are going to be similarly situated that you can now send marketing to. Okay, so that's really important. You can see on my page for this book, Wrenches to Riches, it's got the Amazon listing for the book, and that links to Amazon, which I think adds authority and credibility to you. So it's basically showing them that your book is on Amazon. Then for me, my call to action is I want to buy these HVAC companies. So it says, we collaborate with top-tier HVAC business and mechanics to enhance their growth, optimize operations, and prepare for successful transitions. And do you qualify to work with us? And then there's an application link so they can apply to work with us. It could be an information gathering link for you. You could ask information about their house. You could ask, you know, what are they looking for, depending on the context of what your book is about and what your goal is. And then you can format the book for Amazon Kindle. There's a whole lot of steps to doing that. I recommend that you skip all of them. Do not do it yourself. Go to Fiverr and just have somebody there do it. And same thing with in terms of audiobooks. So how much does it cost? Grammarly's $30, Quillbot's $19, Originality is $20, Kindle Create is nothing. You might spend about $70 to create this book. And then you can turn it into an audio book with 11 Labs. And again, I'm going to recommend that all you have to do is clone your voice into 11 Labs and let 11 Labs take your voice and create the audio for the book. That's what I did. I didn't narrate for however many hours the audio version of this book is. I never even looked at it. I just, my voice got cloned into 11 Labs, and then my team put uploaded the transcript of the book, and 11 Labs created the audio, which they then uploaded to Amazon. Now, again, it's a little bit of work to convert to make it work. So Fiverr, Fiverr.com. I just use Fiverr to do the Kindle formatting. If I were you, I would use Fiverr to do the audiobook. That's going to cost you about $30 to $50 to do. You just find someone that's got 5-star reviews. There's a ton of people, whoever can get it to you the quickest. Then you submit your book and it shows up as an audiobook. And basically 11 Labs is going to run about $100 to do this. And that's on a monthly basis. So you could just join for 1 month, create your audiobook and stop. It'll let you create about 10 hours of audio. Your audio book, I think really like 4 hours is kind of all you should need for that. And then Fiverr, we spent $30. So it was $129 in costs there, plus I think it was 70. Just go back here. Plus 70. Yeah. So you're talking about $200 to get a book completely written, have it in a place where you can actually have copies that you can distribute and send out and give to people, have an audiobook, have a Kindle book, and it doesn't take you much time at all. I mean, like I said, a couple of hours to do this whole thing. So those are the three things that I really wanted to share with you, which was, how can I create podcasts without having to create podcasts? How can I create books without having to write books? And how can I create audiobooks without having to narrate audiobooks, all using AI, not having to create, not having to take any of my time, not having to do anything. That's how you do it. Sam?
Mind explosion emoji. That was awesome. Roland, I know that you have an in-depth training on AI, and I think you're coming out with some other stuff as well. What's the best way if someone wants to learn more? Should they just email me and I connect them to Deanna, or?
Yeah, that's good. You can, that's probably the best way. You can go to epicnetwork.com, which is where kind of most of our stuff sits. But yeah, I'm doing basically an AI personal branding training that doesn't have a catchy name yet. I'm going to let ChatGPT help me with that, but really that lays out the entire process of how do you create a newsletter with AI? How do you create a podcast? How do you create a book? How do you create an audiobook? How do you create multiple videos for social media? All generated from AI, not having to do it yourself, with how do you get your assistants to do all this stuff for you? And then you can create this great personal brand that is you, but that doesn't take your time, so that you become scalable as you create this across multiple platforms.
Love it. So chat, if you want to learn more, go to epicnetwork.com. Side note, if you want to learn how to buy a bunch of businesses with no money out of your pocket, that's something that Roland is arguably the best at out of anybody out there. And
it's
we
cool.
have some awesome events.
You and I just acquired at the time that we acquired a $20 million a year business that is acquiring other businesses that should be at 100 million, I think, by the end of the year. So like, this stuff really works. We do it every day. And Sam and I are doing a whole bunch of that stuff together right now too.
Yeah, so go to Epic Network, or if you want more help, just email me, sam@bigblockrealty.com. I'll get you connected. Roland, I know you got at 11, so you're 2 minutes late to your next. Appreciate you, tons of value, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Roland.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye-bye.